again, as Ms. Karen mentioned, definitely excited to be in the course. Just a little bit about myself real quick. My company established LLC, cage code, bunch of different things, even some certification for set asides or whatnot. Been having all that established for about a year. Submitted probably 10 bids over the last year since I started last February. Came close, no success. There was one that I'm actually still waiting on. It said I was moved to the next step. So, but really outside of that, my question is in regards to the limitations on subcontracting 5219, which is 50% for service, 75 general contracting, and then 85. As that relates to the middleman, how does that work with the limitations on subcontracting?
Oh, it works well. Let me see how far. I know we got a small group, so I think we can really dive deep into it. Let me see if I can pull up some stuff for you guys. But long story short, actually, let me do this real quick. Limitations on subcontracting. So this that we get everyone on the same page. So if you go to acquisition.gov, let me share my screen real quick. Acquisition.gov, just so everyone knows what Brandon's talking about here. 52.219-14, right? Limitations on subcontracting. So I'm gonna give you guys a short and long answer. The short answer is this: government contracting and solicitations are just like the Bible, right? This you see these FAR clauses, all these clauses, right? We got all these Bible verses, if you will, from 1 to 53 of all these different things that we got to cover. I'm gonna give you guys some good news. One thing, Brendan, you need to know is the thing that differs in government contracting is every verse or FAR clause doesn't apply to every opportunity. So if you looked at your opportunities you looked at, right, you saw that FAR clause sheet that has all those FAR clauses and it has little check boxes, right? Every box ain't checked, is it? Right? Every box is not checked. A lot of times the limitation on subcontracting box is not even checked. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't apply. Now, here's the thing I want you guys to know. Can you subcontract everything out? No, you cannot subcontract everything because sometimes it does apply. But what I'm here to tell you, Brandon, is first of all, for everyone to know, if it doesn't apply, it doesn't matter, right? It just doesn't matter. Now, some of y'all are probably thinking, well, Wesley, what if it does apply? What if it does apply to subcontract? What if it says it's checked and there's limitations? I'm gonna show you guys a quick. Let's see if I can find the video. And by the way, there's a contracting officer. Actually, I haven't had a chance to talk to him. I might even see him coming this week. But there's a contracting officers. I'm friends with a couple of them, and they explain it very well on their TikTok of how it works. And I'll tell you guys right now. Long story short is we're adding value, Brandon, to these opportunities. If you read the FAR clause, it says that as long as you're adding value, as long as you're assisting. So let me share my screen real quick, and I'm gonna show you guys what I mean.
Yeah. So I think what you're trying to say. So the clause is a reference to an attempt to get to 50%. If I'm saying that right.
You got to get away from the 50%. The one what you got to think is one, the 50% doesn't apply if the box is in check, right? So
right.
Let me play this video real quick, and then if it does, let me show you something. Let me know if you can hear this. Hold on.
All right, this is for people that are on Wes's.
You guys hear this?
Like, oh, look for 52.219-14. All right, so first I'm in the FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulation. Let me back up a little bit for you guys. So let's read this. As prescribed in 19.507 Echo, insert the following clause. All right, so when we looked at Echo, 19.507 Echo, shall insert the clause, right? Limitations of subcontracting in solicitations and contracts. And then it goes on to say, right here, the award is expected to exceed the SAT. And if you want to read all this, you can. If you don't know, most of WES's are not expected to exceed the SAT. And then it goes on here to talk about mandatory sources, types of contracts, and it goes on, and you keep looking it up, and as you keep going. And I've gone through here and I've looked them all up, and these talk about multiple awards or set asides, BPAs. unless specifically stated, unless this clause, unless 52.219-14, limitations of subcontracting are in the solicitation, and I'm going to make a follow-on, and I'm going to stitch these two together. Unless that clause is in the provisions and clauses or in the contract, and either one, unless it's in the solicitation or the contract, you do not have to worry about the people that are like, oh, watch for the pass-through, watch for the pass-through. All right, so here is the second video. This is another one that people talk about. 52.215-23, limitation on pass-through charges. It goes on to talk about what a pass-through is, and it says specifically, excessive pass-through charge with respect to contractor or subcontractor that adds no or negligible value to a contract or subcontract means a charge to the government by the contractor or subcontractor that is for indirect cost or property fee on work performed by a subcontractor. Okay, if you look and watch what Wes is doing, he's doing this. Managing multiple sources for government contracts, coordinating deliveries, performance, quality assurance, and functions. That is allowable, right? Added value means, so that is what Wes is doing. He's adding value. Whether you agree with it or not, that is your prerogative as a CEO. Me personally, I would let Wes do this every day based off of the conversations we've had and the stuff that he's speaking about. He is adding value by having good management, multiple sources for contract requirements, and coordinating deliveries. He recently talked about a company messed up a shirt, same day, coordinating response and quality assurance to make sure that shirt got updated. That is value added. That company would not be providing that service, and they would not be responding to the government without Wes being in the picture. That is considered value added.
And let me add something to that real quick. Before I do that, just so you guys know, where's that one video? I don't even know what the video is that actually. Well, I don't know where the, is this it? Let me see.
All right.
This is he's a contracting officer. He actually trains people to be contracting officers with the military. I can't find the video where he's at when he's coming back to his office, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I want to say back to your 50% question is I wanted to, oh, here it is. This is him.
Didn't think about you. I still my voice got business, got me thinking of reasons. We can be Reese's Pieces, no breaking apart or leaving. Hard was cold, it was freezing. You got it changing the seasons. Let that just be the reason that telling you isn't easy, Lord. I've been crushing.
The reason I show that is because this person trains all the people in the Air Force on how to do contracting. That's him walking into the office back in 22. Now, I want to answer that 50% question, and then I think I'll answer all your questions here, Brandon. Here's the 50% question. Let me ask you guys a question now. Is all work physical, Brendan? Is all work
it's not.
It's not physical, right? So if it says 50% to them, 50% to you, can 50% be admin work?
It can.
Okay, there's your answer.
Gotcha.
Long story. Again, I try to make a long answer short as much as I can, but if you wanted to go down that road, if you wanted to fight the government, there was a limitation on subcontracting, you wanted to go, I'm doing 50, they're doing 50. Long story short, I'm adding value, I'm doing administrative work. This is what my company does, and I declare it 50%. Now, the government or that CO can say, nah, I disagree with you. Move on to the next one. But most COs would agree with you.
Appreciate it.
Great question. I'm glad you asked it. I know that. And by the way, y'all, these are great questions because these help everyone here. Everyone here is like, oh, limitation on subcontracting. What's that? So thanks, Brandon.
This is the best decision that I've made in a long time for myself. There's so much information that's being shared with us right now. You know, just yesterday, I had a major aha moment. I know today I expect another aha moment too. Just absorb like a sponge. That's all I can tell you, man. Just absorb like a sponge, because guess what? We all will be next. Guaranteed. We all will be next.
Aha moments, you know, he's dropping golden nuggets. You know, he's doing it again today. But what I liked the most was, you know, I spent time putting together a list of opportunities I was looking at, and we looked at them, and we selected one, and we just kind of talked about it. Did he help me really narrow in and focus on what I need to be looking at? And to me, that's just like, I've already got my money's worth today. I can just stop.
You know, just full disclosure, I had pushed and went all the way through everything. Registration, website, NAICS codes, set aside, all of that stuff set up. Cage code, all of that's been done. Myself, I was at a point to where I didn't know what the next steps were. I asked a couple of questions yesterday, got clarification, and that was great. I didn't ask any questions today. I've been listening because it's hard to articulate, but it's almost like you don't know what you don't know. But to listen to the other students and Dr. West and the response and all of that, that triggered things for me. I'm like, oh, and I would write something down or I'd take a note. You know, it's great to come with specific questions, but just to sit and listen to that detail and listen to what some other people are experiencing and some of their questions and challenges, and you can be like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, this is a great session. Very happy that I did this.